An event that used to be very solemn, dignified, reverent, and respectful has now been turned into a cheap sideshow. We have artists now like Carrie Underwood and Kid Rock and other country artists and bands that are all going to show up and play at the inauguration. This is going to start to rival the Super Bowl halftime show. What the heck is going on? I'm sure there are a lot of people out there wondering as well what's going to be the new reality here online when TikTok is banned and you see this huge flood of users come back to YouTube. Those of us who've been here for a while are wondering if this is going to be a blessing or if it's going to be a curse. I've noticed that the censorship has actually ramped up in the last, I'd say probably month to 6 weeks. I thought it would have been over with the election, but it's just gotten worse. And to put the cherry on the sundae for this video, how many of you have ever built a fire upside down? You see, all fires have to be built backwards. And a lot of people are like, wait, what? Hold on. What does this have to do with anything? Well, over the Florida Maquis Patreon channel, we put up a video. It took us a couple of tries over there, but in the last couple of days, we put up a video over there that proves something about the LA wildfires that everybody knows who's ever built a fire, but nobody is pointing out. Nobody is pointing out the glaring flaw in the coverage of the fires. Nobody's asking the right question. And if you look at this picture of someone preparing to start a fire, you'll see the problem. How many of you see the problem? If you'd like to join us over there, brand new video. There's 4 levels over there. There's 1, 5, 10, and 15. This most recent video is for the 5 and up, 5, 10, and 15. It's called the Need to Know Roundtable. And every week or so, we try to get at least 4 videos up over there, 1 for each level. And usually the level 3 and 4s are kind of a combination thing, part 1, part 2. So love to have you over there. Content you can't see here on YouTube and may never be able to see again on YouTube, given when TikTok goes away. I think that YouTube was forced to relax its policies when it had competition. Pay attention to this, folks. When there's a lot of competition, you don't have the luxury of being heavy-handed with the censorship online. But when you take away the competition, then you can be. TikTok's going to be banned in the United States this weekend, those of you who don't know. I think it's a very interesting dynamic. It takes away a choice. And this is a great quote, and I think the vast majority of my audience would agree with it. Everything you do in your life is based on the choices you make, all of your circumstances. It's not your parents were good or bad, not your past relationships, your job or past jobs, the economy, the weather, an argument, or your age that is to blame. You and you alone are responsible for every decision and choice you make, period. Now, going along with that, you're free to make whatever choice you want. I mean, mostly, I guess. But you are not free from the consequences of said choices. Your life is once again a result of the choices you make. If you don't like your life, time to start making better choices. I chose this picture of Donald and Melania because at this point in his life, in this picture, Donald Trump chose to be a registered Democrat, which he has done multiple times in his life. So for him at that time, that was the right choice. And the reason I choose this picture is because Melania Trump decided, you know what, I'm going to marry somebody, make a choice, and marry somebody 27 years older than I am. And whatever the consequences are, that's what it's going to be. And she also made a choice of wardrobe that day, and I'll let you guys figure that out. Now, what does this have to do with anything that's going on? How many of you have seen this recently, that Madonna's put out a bunch of new pictures? Not that anyone should necessarily care, but it is a great object lesson. You see, when Madonna first came out back in '84, she was absolutely the most stunning, beautiful female singer out there. I mean, every guy had bought this album. Even if he didn't listen to it, he got it for the picture on the front. And of course, now here we are. What is it now? 41 years later? 41 years later, and Madonna is still trying to be relevant, doing all this plastic surgery and all this horrible Botox, and she's not fooling anybody. She's not fooling anybody, is she? You see, this is choices. This is Madonna when she was young, and instead of aging gracefully, she's chosen not to. She's chosen to live a lie. Now, here's Belinda Carlisle. Belinda Carlisle and Madonna are exactly, almost to the day, the exact same age. How many of you would believe that? I mean, those of us who grew up in the 80s would, of course, believe it. The Go-Go's, the lead singer of the Go-Go's, Belinda Carlisle. Madonna actually used to make fun of her once in a while because of the tremolo in her voice. The point is, if you go look at Belinda Carlisle now versus Belinda Carlisle then, and they are the same age, her and Madonna, she looks 100 times better. Having virtually the exact same life, just with different choices. Now, cool story, Maki. You just wasted 6 minutes of my life. What does this have to do with... If I had told you in 2016 that in 2025, everybody would be so super excited about Donald Trump welcoming little Marco in as Secretary of State, you would have told me that I needed to go check myself in to a rubber room somewhere. He was the first and original Never Trumper. In fact, his Never Trumperism inspired this guy's Never Trumperism. And he's the new vice president. Secretary of State Never Trumper and Vice President Never Trumper. Oh, and if I told you that, especially after 2020 and all that nonsense, that Donald Trump would be shaking hands with Mike Pence and yucking it up and having jokes with Obama like they're just good pals and good buddies. Seriously, I think somebody would have had me committed. Somebody would have had me committed. See, isn't it very odd? Don't you think that, see, here's Melania, and of course, it's a funeral, I know. But she's sitting there all solemn and all very respectful, and here's her husband that she married when they were both Democrats, and now they're both Republicans, I guess. And they're sitting and yucking it up with the Democrat, liberal, progressive icon of the century at Jimmy Carter's funeral, having jokes. Oh, but there's more. What if I had told you that back in 2016, the guy that was being selected would be getting $1 million donations from Microsoft, Apple, Meta, OpenAI, Amazon, and Google. Google being the parent company of YouTube. Matching all these gifts for the inauguration. See, why do we need all of these millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to inaugurate a president who has invited the world's leading billionaires, Zuckerberg, Bezos, Musk, and now the CEO of TikTok, Shao Zichu or what the hell ever? He's also going to be there. My question is, even Drunk Girl has to ask. Even Drunk Girl has to ask, how do you even know who Trump is or what he's going to be? How do you know? That's always been my issue with Mr. Trump. I know a lot of people don't like this channel because they don't feel like I'm all in for Mr. Trump. I don't know who he's going to be. You can't sit here in 2025 now, and tell me that this guy is now the same guy that he was in 2016 when he came onto the scene and became president. He is now in the company of the world's biggest billionaires. The biggest corporations are supporting him. He's yucking it up with Obama. He's talking about tariffs, which are, if anybody knows anything about history, there was a time when, and maybe this is what they were laughing about, Barack Obama, in the last 2 years of his term, wanted to put tariffs, heavy tariffs, on Chinese tires, and every conservative in the room lambasted him for it, saying, "Oh, that's socialism. That's what the Democrats have done. The Democrat socialists, they put tariffs on things." And go look it up if you think I'm making it up. Go look it up if you think that I'm making it up. There's some people that don't like my channel because, all of the pretty girl pictures over, especially at Patreon. Well, here's your guy, and the third wife he chose was a nude model, and you can look that up too. His third wife had been well known for modeling nude in Europe. So, you can take my choices and say what you want about them, but you can look at his as well. And that's fine. He can choose. Like I said, everything you do is just choices. But had I told you that, look, I wish I would have bet somebody. I wish I'd have bet somebody back then, hey, I'll bet you $10. I'll bet you $20 to every one of my 120, 30,000 subscribers. I wish I would have bet every one of you said, look, he's going to make, not only is he going to love Marco Rubio, he's going to make him Secretary of State. I mean, when you look at the line of succession, you have the president, you have the vice president, and then you have the Speaker of the House, and then you go through all of the cabinet appointments, and I'm pretty sure number 4 in line is Secretary of State. And then Secretary of Defense, and then Secretary of, I think, the Interior, or whatever, but you can go down the list. But the point is, little Marco Rubio is way up there. Way, way up there in the line of succession. But he's still 2 behind this never-Trumper, who was inspired by this never-Trumper. But people don't like my channel because I've questioned Trump. Even though he's got people in his administration in the line of succession, 2 of the top 4. 2 of the top 4 people in the line of succession have openly and viscerally opposed the man and questioned the man and attacked the man. 2 of the 4 people in the line of succession right now, of the top 4, have openly questioned number 1. So, just saying. Really cool video out there, by the way, if you want to see the Go-Go's now, all 5 of them. I think it's a great thing to show that, you can be in that industry, you can be a musician, you can be a pop star, and you can make different decisions. And none of these girls look like they're anywhere near the train wreck Madonna is. This is who they were back in the 80s. And I know, just a pop band, but it's a great juxtaposition. It's a great contrast to show that, they had the big hair back then, and they had the poppy 80s sound back then, and they're still pretty normal girls now. They're all about 10 to 15 years older than I am. So they're in their 60s. But when you look at the Material Girl, there's just something to be said for letting it go, so to speak, and not doing all this nonsense. So I will leave it there. Join us over the Florida Marquee Patreon channel. Love to have you guys over there. Truly making a huge difference, being able to communicate to the large audience here, even though we're under censorship at YouTube, and then dovetailing over to Patreon, where we can then take the gloves off and talk a little bit more openly, a little bit more freely about things. I think it works out well. So I'll leave that there. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. See you guys next time.